A chicken coop is one of those things that is actually quite expensive in the stores. It's something that you can easily save some money on and also customize to your personal space. In this video, I've got all the tips and tricks you need to start building your own. Let's get building. Hey, and what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Farm Dream. My name is Raymond, and today we're looking into building this chicken coop behind me. Now, there's a few things that I've changed, and there's links in the description on everything you need. But the main thing is I changed the OBS sheets to plywood because that's actually better. It's better against the weather, and it's also better against blood lice because it has less nooks and crevices. I've divided the video in a few sections, and you can find these in the description and also in the timeline. Now that that's out of the way, let's get building. To start this build off, we're gonna make a good foundation for the rest to sit on. I've used 44 by 69mm bars, but you can also just use 2x4s. These are just not too common in the Netherlands and therefore more expensive. We're going to cut all the beams to size and make a test fit. When we're happy with that, we can move on. I've got this nifty tool that will help me make the screws sink in a little bit more, and it makes for a better aesthetic. If you don't have a tool like this, you could also use a nail gun or pre-drill normal screw holes. It is important to pre-drill just to make sure that you don't split the wood. Connect them using wood glue and some screws. Be sure to have a flat floor and also get your corners right. I personally use some clamps to clamp some wood together and make sure that everything is aligned. I've also cut an extra small beam to act as a guide for the first level height. Since I've only made one guide, I'm going to use a clamp at the other side. When everything is secured, we can test fit the coop. Next up is attaching the beams for the side walls and the laying nest. It helps to support your beams with some clamps when securing it in place. Now we can go and measure in the floor. Make sure you get the corners correct, because I didn't. Cut the pieces to side and do a test fit. If you're like me and you messed it up, try again and get it perfect. Cut the laying nest floor to size and try to not mess this one up. That's better. First try. I wanted 3 laying nests in the back of the coop, so a wall with 3 holes and 2 extra walls to be made. I've left a little gap at the top to make sure the smell and the heat can go out of the little laying nests. Draw the holes for the chickens. Make sure you check for size. We've chosen to go for smaller chickens, so we don't need that big of a coop. Cut out the holes and the walls that go in between the laying nests. When everything is sorted, we can start mounting the floor panels in. Wood glue and some screws again. A little bit of drilling going on for the walls, and we can mount them to the floor and support the beams. While test fitting the beam, I realized that I need to make a small cutout in the walls. But I made these mistakes, so you don't have to. So the next up in the chicken coop is actually the perch, and I've decided to go with this piece of wood. I had it laying around, and it is 33 by 44 millimeters. Now to hang it, I'm just gonna make a little U-shape in this piece of wood. I used some scrap wood to make U-shaped brackets that fit the perch perfectly. This way you can take it out when you want to clean it. Now that that's fixed, we can put up the roof support beams. Now it is really important that we sand it all down. I've taken out quite some time to do this because I don't want my chickens to get hurt by the wood or whatsoever. But once again, if you use a different wood, you probably don't need to sand it down too much as I am. Now the next step is quite important to prevent blood lice as much as possible. Tag the nooks and crevices with some sealant. Blood lice will sit and later act in nooks and crevices, so prevent those spots as much as you can. We're gonna paint the entire inside of the coop white. That way we can easily see if there's something inside of the coop that shouldn't be there. Another test fit, but it's becoming way more heavy now, but it still fits. Time to make some walls. starting out with the front since that's the most difficult one. Make sure you leave enough space for the door to swivel. It needs a little bit of extra space on each side. I just want to interrupt in the video real quick here, because if you like the video so far, consider liking, also consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon so you don't miss out on future projects. Okay, let's continue building. When all the walls are done, we're gonna paint the outside legs with 2 layers of outdoor paint to prevent wood rotting. Now the next trick is something I found online. To make it easy to scoop out the coop, you can put some linoleum on the floor. This will make it easy to just get a broom and scoop it all out. Before all the walls are on and it's gonna get too heavy, we're gonna put the chicken wire on the bottom. I thought it was smart to go underneath it, but it's lacking some space for a human. Flipping it on its side worked like a charm. Let's secure the walls with the same technique as the beams: sunken screws and wood glue. When all the walls are in, we can start taking out the part for the coop door. Make sure, once again, it's the size for the chickens you want to get. Tag the nooks and crevices with some sealant. The next step is optional, but I like to give my coop a little bit more character and put some grooves on the side. A good sanding down is necessary, but the result is quite cool. Another layer of paint on the inside will make sure the newly added walls get done as well. Also, the outside will of course need a nice coat. I've chosen Valentine red, but you can of course figure out what color you would like. A bit of paint on the inside of the roof so everything is white. Now for the details, I'm gonna start on the corners, taking thin strips of wood and connecting them together with some glue and staples. I'm just quickly connecting the roof to make sure we can still open and close it when we put on the details, but it fits perfect. It's important you take the angle of the roof into account. My saw blade can be set to an angle, so I'm using it on 5 degrees. So here is the idea for the chicken coop door. I have a little bit of a smaller piece that I'm gonna put on the outside border, just like that. Then on top of that we can put the completed piece and put it right where it needs to be. And that gives us just enough space to put another layer in between that can slide up and down. That's the concept, let's build it. I could not have said that better myself. So to get this to work with these thin strips of wood, we need to give it some time and a lot of wood glue. A smaller sheet to act as the door, and we're done. Back to painting. All the pieces we've just created could use a sand down and a nice layer of paint to protect it from the elements and look better. All the paint is drying out in the back, as you can see, so now we're gonna work on the roof. And to be honest, I got this system which is called Easy Shingles. It's a system which just basically gives you strips. Let me grab one. And these strips are very easily used. You just have to cut them, nail them down, and with some sun rays they have adhesive on them that will glue by itself. So I already laid down a pattern and already did some testing. I should have enough to do all the roofs, so let's just get started. That guy is really good at explaining stuff. Anyway, it's important to lay them offset half a shingle each time to create a weatherproof seal. Whoops, almost forgot to attach the roof. A few screws and some wood glue once again. Hammer the nails in about 1 inch above the crevices of the shingles, so the next layer will lay on top of it again. Please look up the information on whatever roof you're picking. I've attached a little rope to the door and added some extra details to the coop. Also, I used some sealant for the brackets and put the perches inside. Now for the chicken run. Cutting all the beams to size and making sure I follow that 5-degree angle from the coop. All the pieces lay out and we're ready to pre-drill. Which was a lot of work, but I don't have a nail gun and this is a nice finish. Next up is attaching all the beams together and create 2 walls. When they are ready, we can attach the middle parts and connect them. Of course, to be followed with a nice layer of white paint. Let that dry and attach all the chicken wire to all sides, besides of course where the door will sit. For this, I just used a staple gun and cut away all the excess. Now for the staircase, to help them reach the coop, a strip of wood cut to size will create our base. Sanding it down and painting it white. We add smaller pieces on top with some sealant. Some screw hooks to attach it to the coop, and the same screw hooks on the outside wall of the coop that they can fall in. This fits perfect and also makes it easy to take out and clean. Now the next step for us was getting the chickens in. We found some close by and we just had to get them. Since we're not done with the coop, I'm just doing the last things while they're in there. We're gonna attach the run and the coop together with some L brackets. And fitting in the chicken wire at the top window to prevent anything from going in. The last step is creating the door. We're almost there. Measuring out the beams and cut them to size. Again, pre-drilling the wood to make space for screws. A bit of wood glue and some screws to attach it all together. Just a quick test fit, but it seems to be fine. So just some paint, chicken wire, and some hinges to attach it to the run. I've put some paper between the bottom just to make sure that it has enough space to move around. And to end it all, we will attach the lock pin to the door. And there you have it, all you need to know to start building your own chicken coop. Now if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you need to find anything, the links are in the description. I want to thank you guys for watching, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to live the farm dream.